Swadika, good morning and welcome to Newsline. You're watching the program broadcasting live on NBT, Radio Thailand FM 88 and also through NBT World. It's Wednesday's edition, April 22nd of 2015. I'm Chalapansana Narula. Let's begin with our Thailand Moves Forward segment. And in our very first story, Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha is participating in the Asian African Commemoration Conference 2015 being held in Indonesia to strengthen bilateral ties between the two regions. The Thai Prime Minister traveled to Jakarta with an entourage of high-ranking officials to attend the Asian African Commemoration Conference. The event is being held on the theme Strengthening South-South Cooperation to Promote World Peace and Prosperity. The conference began in 1955 with the aim of promoting peace, security and economic prosperity. General Prayut is also determined to show support for and cooperation with other developing nations, which are also members of this conference. Senior officials are expected to discuss three main documents, including the Bandung Message, the Declaration on Reinvigorating the New Asia-Africa Strategic Partnership, and the Declaration of Palestine. As for corruption problems, the Prime Minister continues pushing for more actions to clamp down on corruption in Thailand. Deputy Prime Minister Wisanu Kruengam on Tuesday held a news conference on the latest anti-corruption meeting, which was chaired by Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha. Mr. Wisnu said that the meeting discussed the introduction of an anti-graft curriculum to young students, along with a similar educational program for local state employees across the country. In addition, there was a discussion on the disclosure of state procurement details to prevent bribery and the strict disciplinary action or even legal prosecution for corrupt civil servants. The Deputy Prime Minister added that General Prayut also suggested that the Cabinet should consider becoming a member of Transparency International in order to help boost Thailand's credibility in the eyes of international investors. He went on to say, now that the Prime Minister has received a list of names of officials alleged to be involved in graft, there will be more occasional transfers of civil servants, while the use of Section 44 of the Interim Constitution may be put to use to fight graft cases. The National Legislative Assembly, or NLA, has set April 23rd for the opening of the impeachment case against former government officials involved in a government-to-government or G2G rice agreement. NLA Whip spokesperson Jade Siratharanon disclosed that on Thursday, former Commerce Minister Bunsong Teriyapirom, former Deputy Commerce Minister Pum Sarapon, and former Director General of the Department of Foreign Trade Manat Soiploy will be making their opening statements to the NLA concerning the rice fraud case. The three are alleged for malfeasance for faking a G2G rice deal with China while in office under the previous government. They are at risk of impeachment, which would entail a 5-year political ban. Meanwhile, on the plaintiff's side, member of the National Anti-Corruption Commission, Wicha Mahakun, will deliver an opening remark on behalf of his agency. Afterwards, on April 30th, both the plaintiff and defendants will be summoned to answer questions by a 7-member inquiry panel. On May 7th, closing statements will be delivered before votes are taken from NLA members the following day as to whether or not the three should be impeached. A committee under the National Reform Council is calling for the practice of more prudent budgeting under the effect of the new charter. Committee on Financial and Fiscal Reform, Somchai Ruchupan, said that he agrees that the new constitution includes some stipulations regarding the government finance and budgeting. He also suggested that there should be the consideration of the notion of equal shares and the elimination of inequality in the draft charter when it comes to the allocation of the budget. Mr. Somchai stated that focusing on the abolishment of inequality is the way reform can really take place. He added that in the draft charter, Treasury reserves and state revenue have been clearly separated, while any government budget disbursement without an accompanying bill will not be allowed. Mr. Somchai stated that all these changes are intended to make sure the next government will not be able to use state coffers too liberally and without the consent of the parliament. As for cable television operations, the National Reform Council said that the cable operators have called on NRC to draft practical legislation on cable television that suits business operations in the industry. The petition was delivered to Mr. Manit Suksomjit, who is a member of the NRC Committee on Mass Communication and Telecommunication Reform. The petition argued that the National Broadcasting and Telecommunications Commission, or NBTC, has passed broad regulations that are not relevant to cable television and hinder business operations. Mr. Manit said he would forward the petition to his committee for further consideration. The Minister of Interior has publicized its achievements made during the past 6 months, with the upholding of the monarchy and the restoration of unity being some of the highlights. Interior Minister General Anupong Phao Jinda and his deputy Suthi Makbun led the delivery of the ministry's 6-month performance report in the presence of Permanent Secretary for Interior Wibun Sangwon-pong and high-ranking civil servants. The promotion of the monarchy was cited by the ministry as its highest accomplishment, while much focus was also placed on the combat against human trafficking through the clampdown on perpetrators and labour registration. According to General Anupong, the ministry has been striving to foster national unity and reduce social conflict, with more than 90,000 activities having been held across the country. It has also succeeded in alleviating violence in the Deep South, especially through closer coordination between security officials and district chiefs, deployment of more security volunteers, and the setting up of a communication centre in each village. Other achievements include the allocation of arable land to people, making of preparations for the development of special economic zones, and improvement of basic infrastructure. Labour Minister General Surasak Kanchanarat is taking stronger action against employers of fishery workers left in Indonesia to prevent the employers repeating their mistake. Pirapat Pon Sirilertkit, Director General of the Department of Labour Protection and Welfare, revealed that the department has been ordered to sue the offending employers on criminal charges, even though they have paid compensation to workers. A document detailing the minister's official order will be sent to all provincial branches in Thailand to ensure the instructions will be attached to new contracts. In fact, Thailand's labour protection law authorizes officials to sue employers on both criminal and civil charges. However, in the past, the department did not take criminal action as they thought the employers were not the culprits. Thus, most cases ended up with just the employers paying compensation. Meanwhile, the European Union, or EU, has issued a final warning to Thailand, giving the so-called yellow card to the country, allowing Thailand 6 months to improve measures against illegal fishing or face import ban. The Industry Ministry projected that Thailand will see a high level of investment this year due to a major change in some rules. Industry Minister Chakramon Phasukwanit on Tuesday chaired the briefing of the ministry's 6-month performance report, during which he said that various permit approval processes have been simplified to facilitate business operators since the current government took office last August. Mr. Chakramon said that the changes have led to the shortening of the consideration of a factory permit to 30 days from 90 days and the issuance of the mining permit to 45 days from 97 days. He added that around 6,000 permits with more than 570 billion baht worth of investment have been issued during the past 6 months. Now to the Ministry of Commerce. The ministry will consider adjusting down its annual export growth target this coming Friday, however, affirming that the rate will not be below 1%. After meeting with the private sector on export acceleration, Commerce Minister General Chatchai Sarikalaya revealed that the attendants were supportive of the idea to promote exports based on product categories. According to the minister, 10 categories have been established, consisting of food, electronics and electrical appliances, automobiles and parts, textiles, gems and jewelry, construction materials, health products, lifestyle products, logistics and products geared towards the CLMV market, which represents Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar and Vietnam. The Department of International Trade Promotion is set to call in operators under the 10 categories this coming Friday for discussions on ways to maintain and expand the existing markets, as well as to penetrate new ones. Once concrete plans are put into place, roadshows will be conducted overseas during June and July. As for the possible reduction of export growth estimate, General Chachai assured that should the figure be reduced, it would be placed at 1% or above, rather than 0% as feared by the private sector. During the meeting, private agencies made several suggestions to the Commerce Ministry, such as the elimination of trade obstacles, regulation of the Thai baht at the most competitive rate, facilitation of customs procedures, and provision of tax privileges. As the Ministry of Commerce is considering adjusting down its annual export rate, the NESDB Secretary General Kun Akom Termpithiyaphaisit says the Thai economy is on a better trend. Kun Akom Termpithiyaphaisit said that after a 5.4% economic growth in the first quarter of 2013, Thailand faced continuous slowdown with a 2.9% growth in quarter 2, 2.7% in quarter 3, and 0.6% in quarter 4, and then stepped into the first economic recession in 9 quarters. Now, as for the first quarter of 2014, the GDP growth shrank by 0.5% due to economic slowdown in trading partner countries and political unrest, which damaged the confidence of the public, business, and tourism sectors. Meanwhile, only 89% of 2014 annual budget was disbursed due to the lack of disbursement continuity, the lowest rate in 15 years. During the first 6 months of the incumbent government, urgent measures have been taken to restore foreign confidence in the Thai economy. The efforts have resulted in an economic recovery, as seen from a growth in tourism and the industrial sector. In parallel, the government has expedited budget disbursement to solve problems facing SMEs and farmers, while launching investment in long-term infrastructural development projects. The Department of Health has advised people to stay hydrated and refrain from drinking alcohol during the summer months. Department Director General Phonthep Siriwanarangsan recommended that people drink cold water and shower regularly to moderate their body temperature on the warmer days. Dr. Phonthep added that drinking 20 glasses of water daily helps to replenish body fluids. He said that if a person urinates less than 5 times a day, he or she is relatively dehydrated. He warned against drinking alcohol on warm days because the alcohol increases body temperature and can eventually contribute to heat stroke. And that's it for Thailand Moves Forward. Before we take a quick break, let's have a look at the exchange rates and commodity prices.
Maintain a strong nation, Thailand is promoting 12 core values for the good of the people. The 12 core values: putting the public and national interests before one's own.
Even if we don't see them, they are amongst us. And they're hungry. Slay your power-sucking monsters. Take their power away. Think when you plug.
NBT World, a 24-hour English language television service operated by the National News Bureau of Thailand, or NNT, is designed to bring the most reliable information about Thailand to the international community. NBT World is available on various platforms, including via C-band set-top boxes, GMMZ Channel 202, PSI Channel 272, and a live stream on thainews.prd.go.th/newsing. You can also follow us on facebook.com/NNT News or download the PRD News EN application on your smartphones. NBT World, a vision of Thailand.
Welcome back. You're watching Newsline. The Ministry of Energy has indicated that the maintenance of the Yadana and Yetagan natural gas fields has been completed, while the Zautika gas field is expected to finish repairs by April 27th as scheduled. Mr. Sarawut Gaothatip, Director of the Ministry's Policy Office and Acting Director of Energy Crisis Monitoring Centre, quoted a report saying the two major gas fields, Yadana and Yetakun, that shut down from April 10 until the 19th have completed maintenance. He said the main walls from the two gas fields were reopened on Monday. Director Sarawut added that the maintenance of Zautika gas field should be finished as scheduled. The repairs are expected to finish by April 27th. Meanwhile, the Electricity Generating Authority of Thailand and Thailand's sole natural gas supplier, PTT Public Company Limited, have been working together to switch from fuel to natural gas. And EGAT said demand for power hit a record high yesterday as temperatures soared across Thailand. EGAT recorded usage of 27,139 megawatts on Tuesday, surpassing a record hit only 2 weeks ago. At one point in Bangkok, the temperature was about 40 degrees Celsius on Tuesday. The average temperature today, if you are wondering, is expected to be around 38.3 degrees Celsius. In other global news, Saudi Arabia announced the end of the military airstrike campaign against Houthi rebels and their allies in Yemen after nearly a month of airstrikes on Tuesday. In Aden, smoke billowed from an airstrike in the city shortly before the Saudi announcement was made as fighting continued between local militias and Houthi forces. Iran, which supports the Shiite Houthis, welcomed the ceasefire following months of fighting between the militant group and forces loyal to the government, which was driven out of the capital Sana'a. The Houthis and military units loyal to the powerful former President Ali Abdullah Saleh have taken swathes of the territory and forced the current President Abdullah Rabu Mansur Hadi into exile in Saudi Arabia. Muslim Brotherhood leader Mohammed Morsi was sentenced without parole on charges arising from the killing of protesters. The verdict was announced almost 3 years after he became Egypt's first freely elected president. The sentencing was broadcast live on state television. Egyptians in downtown Cairo Cafe expressed their satisfaction with the verdict on Tuesday to the sentencing of ousted Egyptian President Mohammed Morsi to 20 years in prison. One lawyer, Salah Suleiman, said that the verdict gives a lesson to other leaders, saying that it is an example to every leader who does not answer the will of the people and does not make the path of the constitution and rule of law. An Egyptian citizen, Margit Fauzi, said Morsi deserved a harsher sentence. However, the only people who were willing to speak on camera were those who were in favor of the verdict. Amnesty International described the ruling as a travesty of justice that shatters any remaining illusion of independence and impartiality in Egypt's criminal justice system. 7 people died in the Dominican Republic on Monday after a small plane crashed shortly after it took off. The Piper PA-32 plane had taken off from the Punta Cana area on the eastern tip of the Dominican Republic when the pilot was forced to make an emergency landing on a golf course in Bavaro. Authorities reported that the plane hit a tree and caught fire as it descended. Aero accidents investigator Miguel Diaz told media the deaths of those on board was immediate. On Tuesday, authorities confirmed the identities of the passengers. The group included the Dominican pilot, 2 Chileans, 2 Spaniards, and 2 Belgian citizens. Ending on a lighter note, just like Thailand, Japanese are also excited about new fast food chains. Crowds in Japan queue up to get a taste after the reopening of the first Japanese outlet in decades of Taco Bell, the America's Mexican fast food franchise, on Tuesday. Taco Bell first opened a store in Tokyo in the 1980s but closed down 10 years later. At least 150 people formed a long line that stretched from the small alleyway where the shop stood out onto the main street of one of Tokyo's busiest shopping district, Shibuya. Many customers also took advantage of the free tacos distributed to those first 100 in the queue. Some, like 26-year-old Steve O'Critchell from New York, said they had even camped overnight to be first into the store. Taco Bell said it was making its second attempt to conquer the Japanese market this year, now that Mexican food was gaining popularity in Tokyo. They chose the location due to its popularity amongst younger Japanese. And that's it for today's edition of Newsline. Thank you very much for joining us. Before we end, a quick announcement. The Department of Industrial Promotion, DIP, which is under the Ministry of Industry, is inviting Thai manufacturers of all sizes to fill out applications to be considered for the Prime Minister's Industry Award, the annual honorary awards that are given to outstanding businesses in the industrial manufacturing sector. If you wish to find out more information on this, please have a look at their website, that is dip.go.th, or contact the department itself at the following telephone numbers, that is 02-202-4461. Once again, it's 02-202-4461. All right, that's it for today's program. We end by taking you to San Diego Zoo to have a look at the little piggies there, a litter of red river hogs trying their teeth out on solid food. I'm Chalapansana Rula. Have a great day. See you tomorrow. Sawasdee ka.